do you describe Pinterest to the public and to investors today?
We really talked with investors about how regular people use the product every day. People use it to get inspiration for a whole range of things, everything from the food they cook to the clothes they wear to their homes. And it's really more about your personal inspiration. It's less about your friends. It's not really about following celebrities in the news. We wanted to make sure that everyone understood that because that's how our users see the product every day.
So you launched Pinterest 9 years ago, and many companies have gone public much more quickly with much deeper losses. Why did you feel that now was the right time?
We're really proud of the progress we made over the last few years to build out the business. We felt like we were at a point where the business had reached a level of predictability, that it could be in the public markets. We were also excited to having the opportunity to have access to public market capital. And the reason is that a lot of great companies have acquired other companies in the future. We thought this would enable us to do it. Finally, we just had a lot of patient investors and employees, so it's a nice moment to provide some liquidity for both those parties.
Patience is a virtue. Some investors might look at Pinterest and say, you're just another digital marketing company. So what do you think makes your advertising model unique to other platforms?
I think the thing that makes it really special is that the reason people are on Pinterest, which is to get inspiration and do things with their life, it's really lined up with what advertisers want, which is to inspire new customers and get them to buy products and services they really love. What that means is that the ads on Pinterest can actually be really additive as long as we do a good job of making sure they're highly relevant. And I think that's just really different from a lot of media companies where ads are candidly a little bit of a tax. That difference in alignment, I think, is the biggest difference between us and some other media properties.
Now, one of the primary criticisms is that the majority of user growth right now is coming internationally, and that is where average revenue per user is lower than in the United States. How much room to run is there in the US in terms of growing users, or is it more of a story about increasing engagement?
I still think there's a real opportunity to grow over time and to increase engagement. A lot of people might use Pinterest for one thing or two things, but they don't know the wide range of different ways people all over the world use the product. I also got to say that we're super proud that we're growing globally. If it was just a few years ago, the story would have been primarily a US-based service, and so it's just really fulfilling for the company to know that the product works all over the world.
So what is the plan to grow international sales?
We're actually just in the very first chapter of that story. So we're just hiring, our first local sales teams in places like Canada, Western Europe, Germany, and France. So we're just at the beginning of the journey, but I think there's going to be a real opportunity to show the same great results we've seen in the United States to advertisers all over the world.
So do you see profits coming soon, and if so, when? Or is your focus going to be more on investing to grow the top line?
We're going to continue to invest for the long term. We've shown really good margin improvement over the last few years, but my eye is always on what's going to make Pinterest great 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. And so that's going to be how we continue to run the business, and we're really excited to see it keep growing.
Now, Pinterest is great, Ben, at collecting dreams, but less so on executing them. What do you plan to do to better connect those two things?
We're always working to make sure people can bridge that gap between seeing something inspiring and doing it. One area that we're investing in is making sure that we match inspirational images with more and more products that are at a price point that matters for people and from retailers they really trust. So we just enable people who are retailers to upload all of their catalogs into Pinterest. We're investing a lot into computer vision technology to match those products with images. And we're not just doing it with shopping, we're also doing it with all the different use cases. So if you have a recipe on Pinterest, now you'll see the ingredients. People can write reviews. If you have a DIY project, you can see other people's experiences, whether it was easy or whether it was a little harder than they expected.
Now, you played around with buyable pins back in the day. Those didn't really take off. Do you really think that social commerce will be a thing someday?
I don't know about social commerce overall, but I definitely know that our users often want to buy the things they find on Pinterest. A lot of people say they discovered a product or service while browsing Pinterest. We just want to make it easier for them to go from that inspiration all the way to reality, which in this case would be a purchase.